Hi, welcome to Mindset, the Global Frame. In this episode today, it's about the new AI Cold War, US China restrictions, and the global fallout. Great power competition usually announces itself in loud ways, as we know. Military buildups, public threats, or proxy wars. But the defining conflict of this century is unfolding quietly, invisibly, in server rooms, chip factories, and computing labs from California to Shenzhen. The United States has just tightened its AI restrictions on China and China is escalating what many analysts now call the AI Cold War. And like every Cold War, the consequences will not be limited to superpowers involved. They will reshape alliances, reorder economies, and determine who leads and who follows in the age of intelligence. This is the topic today with myself and Madam Fey. First, before we dive further, subscribe. It costs you nothing. It helps us to keep moving. We need our first 100 subscribers. Madam Faye, take it from here.
Absolutely, Femi, and let's dive right in. So, as you said, this new AI Cold War isn't just about two superpowers throwing restrictions at each other. It's about how the entire world is going to navigate this new era where artificial intelligence is the battleground. So, let's unpack what those restrictions really mean, not just for the US and China, but for Europe, for Africa, and for all of us. Because, as you said, this is about who leads and who follows in the age of intelligence. So, let's get to it.
What exactly did the US restrict? These are the things I'm trying to recall. I think advanced chips, AI training infrastructures, cloud compute rentals, IN GPUs, I think with NVIDIA and Zo, something like that. US companies prohibited from assisting Chinese AI labs. This we know. Madam Faye, explain why the US fears China gaining AI dominance. Give me a breakdown, go deep into your research. You have access to the um, facts as we know it.
Absolutely, Femi. Let's break it down. So you've got it right. The US essentially restricted advanced chips, the kind of high end GPUs that power large scale AI models. They also put a clamp on cloud compute rentals and basically made it off limits for American companies to help Chinese AI labs train their models. Now, the reason the US is doing this is really about strategic control. They're concerned that if China gains a lead in AI, it's not just about technology, it's about military capability, economic influence, and global power. So it's a way of putting the brakes on China's AI ambitions at a critical moment. It's really a new kind of strategic chess game.
Interesting. So this is now a global turning point, so to say. When you say AI equals military strategy, AI equals economical power, AI equals surveillance versus freedom, countries now are forced to pick a side. China's response, they accelerated domestic chip production. They aligned with UAE, Saudi, and BRICS partners. Shift toward AI self reliance, push to create alternatives to American cloud ecosystems. Is it working? And how far have they gone, Madam Faye?
Absolutely, Femi, and you've summed it up perfectly. This really is a global turning point, and countries are indeed having to choose where they stand. Now, on China's side, they're absolutely not just sitting still. They've been accelerating their own domestic chip production, and they've been building alliances with countries like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and their BRICS partners. Basically, they're trying to become self reliant in AI and create alternatives to relying on American cloud infrastructure. As for how far they've gone, they're making progress, but it's not an overnight fix. It's a race and it's a strategic one, but they're definitely pushing hard to not be left behind. So it's a fascinating and complex chess game on both sides.
If you have to grade it on percentage, as far as who's leading the race, how do you think you're gonna go about that?
Absolutely, Femi. If we had to put it in percentage terms, I'd say right now the US probably has about a 60 to 65% lead in the race just because they have more established infrastructure and they've been ahead in some of these high end chips and AI models for a while. But China's quickly closing that gap. They're investing heavily and they're probably around 35 to 40% and rising. So it's not a static picture, it's a dynamic race, and it's really about how each side adapts and how the rest of the world responds in this evolving landscape.
Yeah. Impact, let's look at it and impact on Europe. EU caught between US security and Chinese market access. Germany's dilemma. France advocating AI sovereignty. Impact on Africa and Nigeria. Africa's risk becoming AI dependent. And this is what happens every time to the continent when new technology comes about. When you talk about nuclear, when you talk about the internet and all this, now we're dealing with AI. Local AI regulations is going to affect Africa. Data being mined without oversight is going to affect Africa. Opportunity for Nigeria to lead with AI policy, if they choose to do so. Tech colonization, that's something we're looking at. Matter of fact, Africa and Europe must learn from history. Late adapters do not shape the future, they adapt to it. What's your take? And don't say absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you know what? You're right. I won't say that. Let's just say you nailed it on the head. The reality is that when it comes to Africa, we've seen this pattern before. If you adopt technology late without your own regulations and safeguards, you end up being shaped by it rather than shaping it. And that's exactly the right here with AI. There's a huge opportunity for Nigeria and for Africa as a whole to step up, create their own AI policies, and really lead rather than just follow. Because if they don't, it's like you said, they'll be adapting to someone else's rules rather than writing their own. So it's really a call to action.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's been a interesting show. Do subscribe. We need the first 100 subscribers. We need the support to keep it going. We want you guys join the podcast every chance you get to talk to myself. Keep your own input and talk to Madam Phil. Feel free to question her. In closing frame, in this imagined AI Cold War power belongs not to the nation with the most data, but the nation that uses it wisely. This is the global mindset. Madam Faye, take us out.
Absolutely. And well said, Femi. So, to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this episode of Mindset the Global Frame. Remember, the conversation doesn't stop here. We're just at the beginning of these discussions, and we love to have you as part of the community. So, hit that subscribe button, join in, and let's keep exploring how the world is changing and what it means for all of us. Until next time, this is Madam Fey signing off.